The first question, what is performance? Because actually the Coffee Young has also mentioned performance, but it was a marketing term, and this time it's a technical term. You might know it as performance, or website optimization, site speed, core web vitals, page speed, UX optimization, or as I like to call it, site speed user experience. I somewhere lost the X. Well, alright. My name is Karlijn Löwik. I'm the CEO at RUMvision, which is a real user monitoring solution. So, very important question. Why should I care? Well, it's very simple actually. Good socks sells, and not the kind that Easy Toys tries to sell us, even though they're talking today as well. No, actually, the numbers kind of speak for themselves. If you focus on good socks, you get 8% more sales, or 42% more mobile revenue, or 62% of visitors will actually never return to your website after they had a bad experience on mobile. 8.3% less bounce. Actually, this research is called milliseconds make millions, so let that be a takeaway. What is a bit of a misconception sometimes in performance is that it's a SEO metric, and it's not. The SEO is concerned about it, but it's actually what I like to call a business metric. Why? Well, it is kind of a ranking factor, but much more important is a user metric. If you have a happy user, and as we established, 20% raise in blood pressure is not a happy user, you get more visitors, you get lower bounce rates, you get more signups, you get more conversions, you get more revenue, you get more search engine traffic, and actually it's more sustainable as well. So let's move on. To this question, which you might be asking yourself, why has this not been fixed yet? It's 2024. Do you know how many solutions I've had that promised to fix this? Which I think is kind of a fair question, even though I wasn't responsible for all of these. Because you've had AMP, you've had WebPay, you had single page applications and progressive web apps and bundling and advanced bundling and CDNs and HTTP2 and actually HTTP3 and 5G and record loader. Now we have Hyvä. And why has this still not been fixed yet? Is it even possible to fix performance with a Magento web shop? Yes, you can fix it. So, good news all around. Let's talk core web vitals. First things first, what are those core web vitals? I think everyone who's ever had kind of an idea about PageSpeed might have run this test. It's on PageSpeed Insights. And it measures the real user experience of your users the last 28 days in a Chrome browser. And what it measures is the largest full contentful paint, the first input delay, the cumulative layout shift, first contentful paint, the interaction to next paint, and the time to first byte. And before I will lose you, I will explain that with a video because this just sounds very technical. But what is important to know is that to pass it, you have a happy user, and this all has to be in green. It also only focuses on these first 3 items. But there's a change coming, and you might have seen it in your email box. This one, the first input delay, is going to be replaced by this one, the interaction to next paint. And why? Because this just measured it very poorly. This does it better. So, let's talk, what is it? Well, the largest contentful paint, you might know it as loading time. And actually there's another metric that you've seen in the core vitals that was the first contentful paint. So how does it work when a browser, when you visit a site, what do you see? Well, first you see white, and white is terribly annoying. And suddenly something starts to appear. This is the first contentful paint, and that tells the user, hey, something is happening, I might get useful information. We are still in the first contentful paint here, we're still in the first contentful paint here, though the browser thinks this might be the largest contentful paint, but no, still not. Here we have it. This is the largest full contentful paint. This is the moment that the browser is done loading and you get your metric. This is something you want to happen soon. Now we have the interaction to next paint. And what you see here, it measures interactivity, or more importantly, it measures also core interactivity. It's actually, on a whole page, the biggest delay between user interactivity and visual feedback. And I think everyone might have experienced this in their lives when you visit a web page and you try to add to cart and nothing happens. And you try again, and the third time, hey, something happens. That's poor user experience. And that's costly user experience. So this is why we measure that. The cumulative layout shift. Well, actually, I feel like the video kind of speaks to itself here. Hey, something happened above it, and oh no! I pressed something, and it was the wrong button. And in this case, it's very sad because he actually accidentally ported 65 things. But the cumulative layout shift is just very annoying because you are trying to read something, and suddenly something pops up above it. Or you try to press a button of an article that's interesting, and a video ad happens, and then you press that ad. Cumulative layout shift is also why I call it SAX, site speed user experience, because this is not very much a page speed matter or a site speed matter, this is an unhappy user matter. So, if we're going to talk performance, what is the thing that most people think is important? Is this very nice green circle? And as my meme tells you, it's absolutely worthless. Sorry for everyone who's focusing on this. Why? Why do we not care about that 100% PageSpeed score? It's not a business track thing you should be concerned about. It should not be a decision-making metric for you as a business owner, because it's based on a very, very sad phone somewhere in America that has very poor internet. Therefore, the performance score will always be completely different than your core vitals, which, as we established, is based on your real user's experience. So if you ever have core vitals, do not focus on that score. Another thing that is interesting about it, it's not used for sale, it's not used for the core vitals, and thus not based on the real user experience, but also it's very easily faked. You do not want to know how many very proud marketeers or developers I've spoken to say, hey, we have a great score, but did you know, yeah, we added a single thing in our code or in our Google Tag Manager, that if a Lighthouse bot ever comes around, we just kick out everything that matters to a poor performance, and hey, we have a 100% PageSpeed score. Let's go to LinkedIn. That's actually just, yeah, well, nice for your bragging rights, but it doesn't add anything. So, why are we happy with Hyvä? Well, passing core vitals was almost impossible with a Magento webshop, and it's not anymore. So, yay! That's awesome! Here we see a core vitals that's been passed, and everything is green. So, yay! Very nice. Fun fact, actually their PageSpeed score was 34. So let's all remember again, PageSpeed scores do not mean anything. Why are we so happy with Hyvä? What does it do? Well, I'm sure Willem Wegman is happy to tell you what it does, but let's kind of recap it here. It replaces Magento's default front end, which is huge, and it makes a new one that is better and more performant and cleaner, and therefore results in a 250 increase in passing core vitals with web shops that migrate from Magento to Hyvä's front end. The LCP, the fit and the CLS can expect a massive improvement. And the Javascript reduction, which is actually the natural enemy of performance, is also very great. So require.js has been kicked out, Knockout has been kicked out, and UI components have been kicked out. And these are all matters that are greatly impactful to be able to pass Core Web Vitals. Now we get back to the question, does Hyvä fix all my performance issues? No, it does not. It's not a silver bullet. It's great, it's really awesome, but it still has additional challenges, especially after the interaction to next paint kicks in. The PWA Studios, which is very JavaScript heavy, faces an even bigger issue. Why? There are 3 reasons for that. Developer choices, third-party influences, and audiences. So let's just dive in on that real quick. Your developer agency is very important, especially on the front end. What will happen with your Core Web Vitals? There are good decisions, there are bad decisions, and there's just not having focus at all. They should implement the right caching strategies. They should support smart lazy loading. Prefetching is great. Also, stay away from too much JavaScript, as that is still the largest issue in the IMP. The second one is the third-party influences. I think everyone, especially on CRO, loves a heat map and loves A/B test, and it can provide super valuable information, I'm not gonna lie, but it also comes at a performance cost. And that is something to keep in mind, especially when you pass Core Web Vitals, or if a third party causes you to not pass Core Web Vitals. Last thing that you might not realize before, because well, it's something to think about. If we're gonna track real users, they are coming at your site in different, in different. Can't come up with a word right now, but their conditions matter. Someone here in the Netherlands will tend to have a good iPhone or a high-end phone. We have very good internet here. In Spain, the devices are less good, the internet as well. And that makes a large impact on what will happen on your Core Web Vitals. So that means that a site that you're running in Spain and a site you're running in the Netherlands that is completely identical might still see that the Core Web Vitals are passed in the Netherlands but not in Spain. Your audience matters. What also matters is having a lot of first-time visitors, or especially ads, because they impact. A first-time user will always have a slower website because caching hasn't been kicked in, especially if you also run an ad because you have a redirect time in it as well. So then that also your first-time visitors, if you have a lot of them, they will impact your Core Web Vitals. So, this is where I come in. Let real user monitoring guide you, because the Core Web Vitals, we can all agree, that sounds great, right? We can measure what happens with our real users on our sites and get knowledge and improve. And that is true, but if you run an e-commerce webshop, you'll find that it's limited in its usefulness to you. Why? Most important, it's always 28 days behind. So if you're going to do a release, or your dev team or your marketing team, you will only be able to measure the true impact of it after 28 days. That's 28 days of poor user experience that you did not know about. And with a real user monitoring that you could have fixed within 2 hours. So that's very interesting. It also only measures the UX of logged in Chrome users. So you don't see Safari at all. Safari is about 50% of the market these days. You can't differentiate between a first-time user experience and a returning user experience. And as we've already established, those first-time users are very interesting. And they also will almost always have a lesser experience than the one where caching kicks in. They are also the users that will hopefully return. So, and probably you've spent a lot of money on ads getting them in. So, especially important to focus on those first-time users because they will make you money in the long term. You can't zoom in on Core Web Vitals per type of page. You can zoom in on a URL, but not a type of page. So, home, listing, etc. These are things that might be, for instance, a layout shift in just one of those pages. Which one is it? And actually, also kind of interesting, what is it? A real user monitoring, or at least our real user monitoring, can tell you these things. And also those audiences, their conditions, as we've talked about, they greatly impact core web vitals, but in core web vitals you can't see what they are. And they are truly very interesting, like your visitor footprint, who comes in from ad traffic, who comes in from page view type, internet speed, device memory. Also interesting, what do your competitors actually do right now? Are they doing better or worse than you? So, you as a business merchant, and I'm actually not sure how many business merchants are here right now, but why you should be able to control your stocks? Well, it is within your reach, and there are 3 reasons. The first one is validation, because as we already talked about, your code changes, your website changes, it's a dynamic site, you implement improvements, but what are their effects? Are they good for your user experience or are they bad? This is actually, we see something that agencies also are very happy about, because once they complete a sprint, they can immediately check, hey, this sprint is successful to the real users, we can keep this sprint, or no, we can't exit this sprint, it isn't good, and we should go back and fix this. The second one, optimization. Well, that one is obvious, I guess. Improving is always better than regressing, but it's always very complicated for people when I ask them to. Okay, so what should I fix? And actually having the right data, oh wow, sorry, really helps getting the insights, and usually, like the low-hanging fruit is usually visible within 1 day, and thus the fixes can be implemented in 1 day, and therefore RUMvision is already out of the books and into the green. The last one is assurance, or even accountability. Never let something that you did not know about as a business merchant impact your bottom line. So if something regresses, you can see it with a very easy dashboard within 1 day, and you can try to figure out what anyone did to cause your site speeds to go down or up, actually, as that works. All right. So how do you give your users the best experience? Well, having a good experience in these core web vitals is actually terribly technical. I just tried to not bore you with that. But having the right partners who are willing to deep dive into the technical part and optimize it and make the best decisions for you are happy to. So, first thing to keep in mind as a merchant is that a good stocks is not a one-time fix, even though everyone wants it to be. Things continually change, and therefore you need an ongoing process and resources to keep good stocks and good core web vitals on the agenda all the time. You want a very good development agency with stocks focus, because the front end is your biggest fix in this in passing your core web vitals. Hosting optimized for Magento is still very important, because the 6th metric on the core web vitals that we did not talk about is time to first byte. This is very much a hosting related matter that is important. Anyone who's ever run a Magento store on their computer knows it's so much slower than when it goes into production on a good hosting. Healthy boundaries in third parties, because, well, they impact your core web vitals a lot. And of course, having the right real-time data to make these decisions on what your users are experiencing. And the good news is, all the right partners are right here. These are our partners, but I know a lot more partners are hanging around who will be happy to talk performance with you. And did I actually mention Hyvä? I did not. It absolutely helps. Yes, let's all go to Hyvä. So, last thing, that went weirdly, the IMP. because I feel like I have a little bit of time over. Passing the interaction to the next page is almost impossible with JavaScript heavy site. Why? Because that's how browsers work. Basically, I can make a whole statement about it, but browsers have an issue doing many things at once, and yeah, like men, basically they can't multitask. So this is why IMP happens. The browser was busy doing something else. And what are these factors that cause an IMP? Well, we are actually the first tool in the world to make it possible to visualize what's happening when an interaction to the next page happens or when it fails. And it also allows us to spot what is actually happening within these third parties. How much of an impact do they have? And if you can't read it, then maybe I'll call them out for you. Hotjar, page ads, dashboards, heat map. Oh my god, heat map. Deploy my opinion and Mousego all are terribly, terribly bad third parties to add if you want to pass the IMP. This is also why the IMP in the Twinkle Top 100, 75% of merchants in the top 100 do not pass this IMP. Partly because this is where I go a little more technical. Like we also established, JavaScript is an issue. Hydration is a huge issue in the single page applications. So if you have a single page application, know that developers are going to talk to you about hydration techniques. Good luck with that. Third parties are impactful. And yeah, no, actually, hey, I'm done. Nice. So let's move on. Because let's all remember that sucks sells, and optimizing your core web vitals and beyond absolutely improves your bottom line so much that just a 0.1 second boost in site speeds can actually increase conversions by 8.4% and grow basket size by 9.2%. So please do not let lack of insights cost you money. Thank you so much.